Hello friends, before we start Indian polity, I just want to clear one misconception among the students that many students think that Indian polity is just a subject of articles, but it is not. That Indian polity is only about memorizing the articles. I'm not saying it is not important, it is important. But if you go with only memorization, then you will feel it very dry and confusing. Now understand this very carefully. The Constitution is the foundation of our Indian society. It tells us that who has power, how that power to be used, and how to control that power, what rights the citizens are having in the country. And the most important question is that what kind of society India wants to build. So this is what the basic understanding of the Constitution. For UPSC, this understanding is very important. In prelims, indeed, they will ask the mix of the factual information and the understanding of the topic. In mains, they will ask the deep understanding of the topic. In interview, they will ask you the questions, the practical implementation of the Indian Constitution and the philosophy of the Indian Constitution in the Indian society. They will ask in the interview level. In essay, the polity will give you the theme of the governance, federalism, equity, equality, etc. and etc. So the main point which you need to understand is that the Constitution, the Indian polity is not only about learning and mugging up the articles. So from today, we are not rushing into the articles. We will go step by step and we will understand the Constitution. Today, we will understand what the Constitution actually is. What is polity? Why, as a society, we Indians need a Constitution? And most important, how you should study Indian polity for UPSC. Welcome to the GT Learnings. My name is Tarun and let's start. This is the first lecture of our Indian Polity course for UPSC Civil Service Examinations. In this course, our aim is not to finish any book mechanically. Our aim is to build complete clarity. After the end of this course, students will be able to understand the Constitution and the Lakshmikant book and the any other book what you guys are referring, and you will be able to solve the prelims question correctly. You will be able to write the mains descriptive answers effectively. You will be able to join the current affairs with the Indian polity subject, and more importantly, you will be able to generate analytical ideas and collaborate with the topics asked in the essay. Now let me tell you how you should watch this lecture. You should keep a notebook ready with you. Don't write everything, every single sentence in a notebook. Build your own understanding with the lecture content, and whenever I say write this, then pause the video and write the concept in your notebook. This is very simple. So what you guys need to do, watch the video and simultaneously prepare your own notes. We will also provide you certain content along with the video. There is a link in the description at which you can download the student ready content, and that will really help you to understand the concept what we will discuss in this video, and that will gonna help you a lot in terms of your civil service preparation. Friends, now let's begin with the very simple question that why the Indian polity matters for the UPSC. Now here we need to link the Indian polity with the multi-tier examination structure of UPSC. The first is prelims, the second is mains, and then further the interview. I am sure that you guys are very much familiar about the structure of the UPSC and the syllabus what UPSC is providing to the student. If any student has a doubt in the structure of the examination conducted by UPSC for civil service examination, so we have created a different video on this subject and the link is in the description. So you guys can click on the link and check the details. So in prelims, there are some segments in which Indian polity and governance is a very important subject. And if we see the last 10 years pattern of the UPSC civil service examinations, specifically prelims, so approximately 18 to 25 questions directly asked from this specific topic, whether they are blended with other topics, blended with the current affairs, or directly asked from the basic concepts of the Indian polity and Constitution. So we need to understand that approximately 18% to 25% of the question paper comes from this specific topic, Indian polity and governance. So it is very important for the prelims. Now let's come to the mains. In mains, there is a dedicated paper, General Studies Paper 2, which covers Indian Constitution, Indian polity and governance. That designated 250 marks total. And out of those 250 marks, if you see the previous year question papers, So approximately 150 marks are dedicated to polity and constitution and its development and related issues, and 50 marks are there for with the governance. So approximately 200 marks are given to the polity, Indian polity, constitution and governance, and the rest of the 50 marks are there for the international relation. So this is the weightage of the Indian polity and constitution as far as the prelims and the mains concerned. In essay, you will find one essay dedicated to the Indian polity, governance and constitutional development issues. So friends, the question that why Indian polity and constitution matters for the UPSC is really very clear here. Because Union Public Service Commission specifically designed the structure of the examination in a way where a student will be asked the questions related to this topic in prelims, in mains, in essays and in interviews as well. What is constitution? Friends, now understand this very carefully. A constitution is a basic rule book for our country. Let's understand this with an example. There is a school. Now in that school there is a principal, there are teachers, there are students. Assume that there is no rule book in the school. So what will happen? The teachers will barge into the principal's cabin and will start doing the principal's work. So now if there is a rule book of that school which defines the clear-cut powers, duties, responsibilities and then further restrictions, that what are the powers of the principal, what principal can do, and there are certain restrictions over the power of the principal so that principal will not become arbitrary in the class, in the school. There are certain rules for the teachers as well, there are rules for the students as well. So in all processes, one thing is common, that whole school is governed by a rule book, and if this rule book is erased, then there will be a very big chaos in whole school. Similarly, the Indian Constitution is also a rule book, but it is a very complex rule book because the system of school is a very simple, but here the work of the Constitution is to govern the whole country, and a constitution is much more serious than a school rule book. It provides power, it provides rights, it provides responsibilities, it provides framework for the organizations, constitutional and non-constitutional. So whenever we say the constitution is a law of the land, it means that all institutions has to work according to the constitution of that country. Let's understand this more deeply. Constitution does 5 major things. First, it creates organs of the government. Like Constitution creates the parliament, Constitution creates the office of the Prime Minister, Constitution creates the judiciary. So the first task is that Constitution creates the organs of the government. Second, Constitution gives power to these organs. Constitution creates parliament and give power to the parliament to make laws. Constitution creates the executive and it gives power to the executive to execute the laws. Similarly, Constitution creates the judiciary and give power to judiciary to interpret the laws. But here is the very important point. Constitution does not only give power, it restricts the power as well. And this is the heart of the constitutional government. Without restriction, power becomes arbitrary. And here is the trap of UPSC. Many students think that democratic government means elected government. But remember, elected government without restriction over power may become majoritarian and arbitrary. So here, constitutional government means a limited government, not an absolute government. A constitution ensures that the elected government cannot do everything they want. They put restrictions on them. Third, constitution guarantees rights. Constitution protects its citizens and individuals from the arbitrary behavior of the government. That is the fundamental rights. We will discuss the fundamental right later in detail. Fourth, constitutional provides a framework to the government. As we discussed, it creates the organ, it provides power to the organs. Now, how these organs exercise their power, how they work, how they perform their duties. So, Constitution defines that what Parliament will do. Constitution defines that what executive will do. Constitution defines that what judiciary will do. Constitution defines that how union and states they interact with each other. So basically, Constitution gives framework to the governance. Fifth, Constitution expresses moral and political vision of our country. Friends, this is a very important point. Why? Because it tells us that what kind of society we want to build. Our preamble talks about justice, equality, liberty, fraternity. We will discuss all about these words in detail in upcoming lectures. Fundamental rights protect individual dignity and freedom. Directive principle guides these states towards economic and social justice. Fundamental duties reminds the citizen about their responsibility. So the Constitution is not about government rules and processes and offices. It defines the goal of a nation. It defines a vision of a nation, that how we want to create our country, how we want to create a society, what moral, social, political values our country need to have. So you can understand it this way. Also write this in your notes, that Constitution equals to organizations plus power plus limit plus governance plus right and value. I hope you got the overview of the Constitution now. Now let's understand the word polity. Many students think that the Constitution and polity both are the same thing, though they are connected to each other, but they are not exactly the same. The Constitution is a foundational legal and political document, whereas polity is the working part of the political system. In a simple terms, the Constitution is a design and polity is a design in action. As we discussed earlier, that Constitution provides the parliament, but how parliament debates take place, how political parties interact with each other, how elections take place, how opposition behaves. So everything is in action is a polity. Similarly, the Indian Constitution provides federalism, that there is a center and there are respective states in a country like Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. Now, this structure is provided by the Constitution, but how they interact with each other, how the center and states make the relations with each other, and how two or different states they interact with each other, they make the relations with each other. That is what the polity is. In our Constitution, we believe that the states in our country, they stay with harmony, but every time situation is not the same. Let's take an example of the Kaveri river water dispute. The state Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, they are fighting for the Kaveri river water. So here the intervention of central government comes. So everything in action, the government in action is actually a polity. Similarly, the Constitution provides the fundamental rights, but how courts interpret the fundamental rights, how citizens they seek for the relief, how state restrictions work, how rights are balanced with the public order. This is what the polity is. So here we can say the polity is a constitution in action. Now let's clarify three important words. First is the state, second is government, and third is polity. Let's start with state. Friends, the word state is defined in our Indian Constitution as well, in Article 12. We will discuss about it later when we will discuss the fundamental rights in another lecture. But here, just to understand, in political science, a state usually means a political community with population, territory, government, and sovereignty. So state is a wider concept. Now let's discuss about government. What does government mean? In simple word, government is a machinery by which state works. Government changes, one political party comes into the power, another goes, but state remains the same. For example, in our India, for a longer duration of time, one political party, that is Indian National Congress, was in power. And in that time, we saw many prime ministers under one party. Then party also changes, prime minister also changes, and it was happening till recent time. So what is the crux? Party changed, person changed, but India as a state continues. So we can take it as government is a temporary, but state is permanent. Now the third term is polity. As we discussed earlier, the polity is overall political governance system, which includes constitutional institutions, extra constitutional institutions, political parties, pressure groups, political processes, etc. Friends, let us make a simple table. Constitution, basic legal document and supreme legal framework. State, permanent political community with population, territory, government and sovereignty. Government, temporary set of people exercising the set of powers at that specific time. And the polity is the total political system in operation. Now let's understand that why this matters for UPSC. Friends, UPSC may ask questions in which options looks bit similar. For example, government and state may be used in a confusing way. Constitutional government and democratic government may look similar. Legal power and arbitrary power may be confused. So if your conceptual base is strong, you will not fall into the trap. Friends, now let us ask a deeper question, that why did India need a constitution? Let's understand this. India became independent after a long freedom struggle. But independence alone was not enough. At the time of independence and right now, India was and is a diverse country. Linguistic diversity, cultural diversity, regional diversity, geographical diversity. And at that time, the question was, how a diverse country like India govern itself. So India needed a constitution for several reasons. Number one, India needed unity. After independence, India had to build a strong political nation out of huge diversity. A constitution provides a common framework. It says, despite our differences, we are a part of common constitutional framework. Second, India needed democracy. Friends, you need to understand that the Indian freedom struggle was not only against the British rule, it was also for self-government. People wanted a government accountable to them. Third, India needs rights. A democratic system is incomplete without rights. If the majority crush the individual liberty, then the democracy becomes weak. Merely giving the rights in the constitution without protection are not rights. In our India, the Supreme Court is custodian of our fundamental rights, and that is the real beauty. So the Constitution in India through Supreme Court protects the fundamental rights. We will study them later in detail, but right now remember one idea. Rights protect dignity, freedom and equality. Fourth, India needed a social transformation. Friends, this is very important. India was not only politically colonized. Indian society also has deep social inequalities such as caste discrimination, gender inequality, poverty, health issues, illiteracy, social exclusion. These were major challenges. So the constitution had to make path for the social justice. And that is why our Indian constitution is just not a legal document. It is a social document as well, which provide a social security and equality. Fifth, India needed an accountable government. Big no to any arbitrary government. So we needed a constitution which tells our government that what you can do, and at the same time put restrictions over the government and tells you cannot do this. It creates procedure, it creates check and balances, it allows courts to review actions, it allows legislature to question executive, it gives citizens rights. All this prevents arbitrary power. Sixth, India needed a stability and flexibility. When we get independent, we needed a constitution which provides us continuity with stability. But at the same time, it must be flexible enough to respond to changing needs. And that is why in our Indian constitution, we have a constitution amendment process. Friends, we will learn Article 368 in detail, which has a provision of constitutional amendment process in later lectures. But for now, remember only this. A constitution must not be so rigid that the society cannot change it. And at the same time, it must not be so flexible that basic values can be destroyed easily. Seventh, India needed moral foundation. And here the preamble comes. A constitution gives Indian society a moral direction: justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. So friends, now whenever you read Indian constitution, don't just read it like a dead file. Study it as a national framework for democracy, rights and transformation. Now the question comes again, why India need a constitution? So write it in your notes. India needed a constitution for unity, democracy, rights, social justice, accountable government and for national transformation. Friends, now we have come to an important idea. Constitution as a living document. Now what does it mean? It means that the Constitution is not frozen in 1950. It continues to respond the Indian society's needs. But be careful. Living document does not mean that anyone can change anything anytime. It means that the Constitution has a mechanism to adopt the newness while preserving its basic identity. So the question is, how does the Constitution remain living? First, through amendment. Our Indian Constitution, through Article 368, provides that our Constitution can be amended. And this provision added because when society changes, the certain constitutional provisions also need to change. Well, we will study the important constitution amendment and the constitutional amendment process separately in a different lecture. Here, you need to remember one simple thing, that our Constitution can be changed according to the society needs. But at the same time, it cannot be changed entirely by anyone thinks it fits. Second, through judicial interpretations. Courts, especially Supreme Court, interprets the constitutional provision. Sometime in our Indian Constitution, the provision is just written in a single line. Now to interpret that meaning, it is the duty of the Supreme Court of India. And thus, the development of the meaning of the provision depends over the interpretation of the Supreme Courts. The best example is the interpretation of the Supreme Court over the right to freedom and speech and right to life. Friends, right now you may be confused that what is right to life, what is right to freedom and speech. We will study them separately very deeply. Don't worry about that. And the third process by which continue keeps living is through parliament and lawmaking. Parliament creates laws to fulfill the constitutional goal. The best example is DPSP, the Directive Principle of State Policy. So this is the duty of Indian Parliament to create certain laws which fulfills the provisions of the DPSP. We will study the DPSP in detail in another lecture. Right now, just think it in a way that the Constitution provides the framework and the Parliament make laws over that framework. Fourth, through people. Any constitution can survive only when people respect it, claim their rights, perform the duties, participate in democracy, and hold institutions accountable. A constitution, in reality, not only protected by the courts and parliament, it is actually protected and preserved by the people of the country. Friends, for UPSC, this idea is very important because in many questions, UPSC are not asking only static provisions. They are asking the provisions, they are asking the concepts which are used in the real life, such as how should liberty be balanced with security? How should equality be made real for disadvantaged community? How should federalism work in a changing economy? How should parliament remain accountable? So these are the real life questions what UPSC asks continuously in mains as well as in the prelims examinations. So friends, remember one simple thing, that the Constitution is not only text, it is a text plus interpretation plus collection of values. And that is why it is said that the Constitution is a living document. This is all for right now. We will meet in a next lecture. Till then, goodbye.